A lot of people say they've got an inner animal, but some people have it the other way around. Literally, from being swallowed by snakes to being swallowed by a sperm whale. Let's have a look at 10 animals who showed no mercy and feasted on humans. Number 10. Eaten alive. Let's start off this list with a man who intentionally fed himself to a giant snake. Let me clarify that a man who tried to feed himself to a snake who would have none of him, giving birth to 2014's worst TV fail, or possibly even the worst TV fails in history. In a stunt that was aired on the Discovery Channel, Rosolie was the first man to have himself be intentionally eaten by an anaconda. At least he would have been in the Discovery special if it didn't end in a massive failure. Rosolie was ready. He was in his supposedly crush-proof suit, which was peppered with cameras to capture his trip down the snake's digestive tract in all of its gory detail. He even had a special breathing apparatus made so he'd be able to breathe while inside the snake's guts. However, the anaconda just refused to swallow, opting to coil around Rosolie in an ever-tightening grip, which then prompted him to ask for help as he felt that his arm was about to snap. So much for the crush-proof suit. Millions of people were incensed that they didn't get to see a man eaten alive by an anaconda on live TV and took to social media to air their disgust. And if you're one of those people, I think it's about time you ask yourself, what's wrong with you? Number 9. Remains in the croc. The South Alligator River in Australia's Northern Territory is a bit of a misnomer in terms of what's there. The river owns its fear-inducing name to a historical misinterpretation of its native animals. Alligators don't live in that part of the world. The main predator and inhabitant here is the deadly saltwater crocodile, which happens to be the largest as well as the most aggressive crocodile species in the world. In the summer of 2014 at Kakadu National Park, an elderly man was snatched from his boat by a 16-foot saltwater crocodile. After this, the beast disappeared into the water. This attack happened in front of his family. When park rangers were searching for this 62-year-old man, they shot 2 crocs that appeared to have been the culprits. One of these 2 did have human remains in the body, and after a DNA test, it was confirmed to be the victim. Number 8. The lake trout with a human thumb. There are many things you expect to find when you cut up a lake trout. You expect to find guts, a heart, some blood, bones, and all of those things that constitutes as the insides of lake trouts. What you surely do not expect to find is a human thumb, but it happened anyway. In 1992, a fisherman had a discovery of a lifetime. It was a severed thumb in the stomach of a trout he just caught. Amazingly, the missing thumb was later traced to a man named Robert Lindsay. So how did Robert's thumb find its way into the stomach of a trout? Well, it's a long story. The year before, he'd been involved in a boating incident where a propeller had cut off 2 of his fingers and his thumb. His missing fingers were found and reattached, but his missing thumb was not. And how could it have been found? It was sitting pretty in the stomach of a trout. It's easy to see how the trout could have found the thumb in the water and swallowed it. What's not easy to see, though, is why the thumb had remained undigested in the stomach of the trout for over a year. Number 7. Akbar Salibero. This incident happened in a small village on Indonesia's West Sulawesi Island. A person named Akbar Salibero went missing after he set off harvesting palm oil from plantation near his home. After this 25-year-old was nowhere to be found, the residents of the village became concerned and went searching for him. But they found themselves in a pretty odd situation. A massive reticulated python was found in Salibero's garden, one of the biggest snakes in the world. This one was 23 feet in length. The villagers also noticed that there was something large inside its body, clearly a meal it had just eaten. The search party caught the python and started cutting it open with an 18-inch knife. And guess what they found? Akbar's lifeless body inside that snake. Much to the horror of everyone present, it was found out that he was first constricted by the python and then swallowed as a whole. Number 6. An angry camel. If there is an animal that never forgets, it's the camel. They remember every terrible deed you did to them, and even if it takes decades, they must take revenge. Their comeback would most likely lead to death because they don't take sorry for an apology. In 2016, an Indian man was killed by his camel. He hosted a party during the day and tied his camel outside in the scorching sun. This poor animal stayed out for many hours, but when his owner came to untie him, he lifted him by the neck and threw him on the ground. It chewed his neck until the head separated from the body and then swallowed the head like it was candy. Number 5. Snake on croc. Let's take a break from all this snake on human crime and check out a kayaker who recently captured the most insane photographs while roaming through a swamp in Australia. The images captured by the kayaker are almost too crazy to believe. This guy actually stumbled upon an olive python in the middle of swallowing a fully grown Australian freshwater crocodile. The snake first squeezed this monstrous beast to death and then proceeded to devour it from head to tail. The kayaker put up the pictures on Facebook, and they clearly showed the stretched jaws of the snake as it was about to swallow the croc fully. This shows the enormous raw eating capabilities of pythons. Number 4. Indonesian woman eaten. It seems like the only people who legitimately get swallowed in snakes do so in Indonesia. Just like our first story today, another human was found dead in the inside body of a python. An Indonesian woman was killed and then swallowed by a 7 meters or 23-foot long python. According to the report from the BBC, Watiba went missing on a Thursday while she was checking her vegetable garden. The nearby locals went on searching for her and found her sandals and machete in the nearby wilderness, and a snake was also spotted at the spot. The snake had an unusual bulge in the stomach, which made it pretty obvious that it had actually swallowed the poor woman. The residents then killed the snake and opened its belly to find the body of Watiba, and she was unfortunately dead when her body was pulled out of the snake. Number 3. Swallowed by a whale. After James Bartley died, the words inscribed on his tombstone read, "A modern-day Jonah." But what does Bartley have to do with Jonah? Well, this man was also swallowed by the sperm whale. At some point during the late 19th century, Bartley owned a whaling vessel, which the sperm whale attacked off Falkland Island. During this attack, Bartley ended up in the whale's mouth and was swallowed. Later on, the whale died of constipation and was caught by Bartley's peers. This is where the ironic twist comes in. The men decided to skin the whale so that its meat would not rot. When they did, the whalers were stunned to find Bartley inside, still alive. He had been inside the whale for 36 hours. Bleached skin by the gastric juices, left blind for the rest of his life, but he survived. According to some reports, Bartley returned to work only a few weeks after being cut out of the whale. The veracity of this story has been questioned, as some people state that humans would likely not be able to survive in a whale, whether that be by drowning or suffocation in the animal's stomach. Number 2. Another croc attack. Andy Aso Orang went missing in East Katai, Borneo while harvesting clams in a river near his home. The locals would have never known what happened to this man if it hadn't been for what was left. His frightened relatives raised the alarm when he didn't come home for some time, only to be horrified 2 days later when they discovered his mangled body on the Kabuhayan riverbanks. Terrified villagers had to cut open a vicious crocodile to find the maimed fisherman's arms and legs. Andy's left leg and both arms were missing, so locals went on the hunt for a man-eating crocodile right away. The beast was discovered 30 minutes later, and locals fired 5 shots into its 1-meter wide body with a rifle. This big guy definitely had it coming. Number 1. Shark arm case. The beauty of Australia is well known. Australia's deadly saltwater crocodiles, kangaroos, koala bears, and monster sharks are also well known. But it's also a location where, if you're not careful, a combination of all of those can kill you. Albert Hobson was fishing in Australia's Coogee Beach on April 17, 1935, according to legend. He caught a massive tiger shark by some miracle. Hobson knew the perfect new home for this shark because his brother was the owner of Australia's Coogee Palace Aquarium. It was estimated to be about 12 feet long. The shark was taken to the aquarium to be seen by the public. The big shark vomited up a human arm in front of onlookers. Because there were no teeth impressions on the arm, the shark didn't bite it off. This man had been murdered, and his arm had been thrown into the sea. So, have you ever had any such encounters, or have you heard any story of an animal eating humans in your area? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.